All right. Good afternoon. I'll get you started here. Before I do that, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. Obviously, to you guys, to your families, and to all the fans out there and their families. So, certainly appreciate you guys and the support that we get year round here. So, with that, I'll get into the injury report for you. I know you guys are interested in that. So, the following players will not practice today: Jordan Phillips, Matt Prater, Jordan Poyer, Daquan Jones, Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid, Cam Lewis, Joey Bosa.
With Josh and yesterday, are you still confident in him being available for Sunday? Were there any changes from yesterday?
No real changes. Today was just a chance really to get around him a little bit and see how he's feeling today. Obviously sore, so he's not going to practice today. We'll see how tomorrow goes.
And then with Shane getting signed and only having Mitch, how's that going to look? Is just Mitch doing everything today then? Or how's that going to look?
Yeah, I played a little bit in high school, so we may have to warm it up a little bit there. It's been a while. But no, yeah, Mitch will do most of the work today, and it's pretty much a walkthrough for us anyway. So.
Congrats on clinching a playoff berth.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
How does that in any way change your plans going into the weekend, especially with this lengthy group of players who are injured as far as roster-wise?
No, it's a valid question based on where we're at and the injuries we have that we're dealing with. We're going to keep an eye on it. It at this point doesn't change anything, but certainly going to keep an eye on things specific to some of the guys on this list here.
How do you size up the AFC right now, Sean? I mean, it's very competitive at the top.
Yep.
You look at Houston being the last seed with 10 wins already. What do you make of the kind of conference race?
Yeah, I'm so focused on our team. We're so focused on our team. I don't really follow it maybe like some do. I keep an eye on it, and to your point, I think one of the things that's pretty impressive is, teams with 10 wins are fighting to get in the playoffs here late in the year, and it's not always like that year to year. So it just, I think, speaks to the quality of football that gets played across the league. Number one, certainly in the AFC, and then also the parity year to year. Teams that were there maybe last year aren't there this year. So again, just gratitude that we've been able to do what we've been able to do, but also the vision going forward that we have for ourselves.
Sean, yesterday you mentioned trying to find the right combination at D-line. How would you evaluate Frederic Mathis and what he's done for you guys throughout the season?
Yeah, a guy that joined us earlier in the year and didn't really know much about him, to be honest with you, other than, because of his short sample, I guess you would say, in terms of playing. So, he got back out there this past weekend, did some good things, had some games earlier on before he got hurt there where he did some good things as well. So, a young player that hasn't played a whole lot, that is looking to continue to grow through reps and experience for us here as we move forward.
What kind of value, especially this time of the year, can you gain from your teams winning in different ways, the comeback fashion, or grinding it out to hold things off in Cleveland? Just these different ways. You obviously want everything to be as easy as possible, but is there value, especially heading into the postseason, winning games in different ways?
Knowing how to win, I would say, is important. Overall, different ways to win, but knowing how to win, being in close games, that's kind of the NFL as it is anyway, as a league as a whole. So, there's some good things there as well. That said, those wins don't necessarily directly impact the next game or trying to find our next win. So, we're really just set on trying to improve week to week and day to day, and try and get some guys healthy along the way as well.
Sean, do you have an indication on Matt Prater if you think he'll be available this week yet?
Don't know for sure. We'll see how it goes, and just take it one day at this point at a time.
Dalton, is that just continuing to manage the injury, or was there a setback there?
Not necessarily a setback, maybe if there was a setback, maybe it's a small one, just trying to, again, manage it, what did we call it last week? Injury management. Injury management. That's the expert over here. So injury management. Is that per Joe? Yeah. So we'll use injury management. Thank you, Joe, moving forward. That'll be my answer to everything, every question.
Thanks, Joe. When you think about this week, obviously, for people spending time with their families and everything like that, you are in a spot where you probably don't get a lot of time usually to do that.
Yeah.
How do you kind of balance those two things in a week like this when you want to spend some time, but it's a very busy part of your career?
Yeah, it's kind of what you sign up for all of us in professional sports, you guys included. You don't get a lot of time off this time of year. It's what we sign up for. That said, we've moved our schedule around, trying to keep perspective on things as well. It is Christmas, and it is a time for people to be with their families, those of you that and us that have families nearby, and if not, spend it with people who are like family. So don't want to lose sight of the reason for the season, as they say, and in the midst of a busy football season and the jobs that we have to do.
Are you, do you kind of oversee the Christmas morning situation? Like, every dad has a different kind of vibe about that. What's your vibe on Christmas morning?
Do you want to talk about your vibe? Huh? Do we want to get into that?
I could take a while.
Present management.
Present management, yeah.
I like collecting, I like making a little basketball hoop with the garbage bag, and then the wrapping paper gets it,
Yeah,
take some
I
shots.
think isn't that a lot of dads' jobs overall is to, hey, before we start, let's get the big trash bag out, right? And then you kind of get the groans and moans from the rest of the family, like, why can't we just start now, Dad? Why do you have to always do that? And so yeah, that, and then the dog likes to tear open, things and kind of get in the way as well. So it makes for a lot of fun, right? It really does. But as much as each Christmas is different, there's a lot of similarities year to year with dads, I would say, over the course of Christmases. So there's probably a lot of dads out there that can relate to what I'm sharing in terms of being that guy that's in charge of the trash and the trash bag. So
Doing your 111.
doing my 111th, that's right. That's what I'm responsible for.
Sean, what's your take on, sorry, Derek, the Eagles' run offense that last year was all-world, and this year the numbers say they've regressed a little bit, but obviously the players are still seemingly very talented.
Yeah, very talented roster. They've done a great job building it, in particular the key positions. And numbers are numbers, and numbers can indicate certain things, but they can also, not always tell the full story. And we know who Saquon is. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame player. Their offensive line, very talented as well. Done a great job, with the coaching that goes along there with Coach Stoutland, and then the offense overall, extremely talented on the perimeter. So, as well as the tight end position, so it's a tough unit to stop. And the run game in particular is real. I know the numbers say, and I'm not buying the numbers. So.
How tough is their secondary making it out of Lawrence this year?
Yeah, they're very good. They're very good. Cooper and what he's been able to do in such a young career to this point. Coach Fangio does a great job. They don't do a lot, but they're extremely effective at what they do, and it's led by their front. I mean, you watched the Super Bowl last year, as we talk a lot about, there it goes, right? And so, they're led by their defensive front, and then with what they do at the corner nickel position, some of their safety, they do a really good job of, and the linebackers collectively have been very productive for them, good instincts. Zach Bond's been very impressive as well, and they've got a talented roster.
Out of curiosity, for all the history you have with Philadelphia, having worked for the Eagles, being from there, curious that it's the one NFL team you've not beaten as a head coach?
Is that right?
It is.
Yeah, they've got a good team. I think in 23 we came within a whisker of beating them. So, give them their props. We respect their team and how they won, and certainly defending Super Bowl, champs. So, yeah, we go to work today to work at it.
Sean, you had a few guys named to the Pro Bowl
It's always good to see that. There's always guys that you might feel should get there. One of the names is Reggie Gilliam, and all he's done for your top-ranked rushing offense to not have that accolade. Do you address things like that and say, hey, man, we know how valuable you are? Does that matter at all in the room? A guy like that who doesn't get the recognition, and a lot of people feel he should get the recognition.
Yeah, no, I love to recognize guys who maybe aren't written about, and you guys collectively do a good job of finding those kind of hidden gems. We talk a lot about, after we play a game and, certain things that aren't going to be celebrated or, written about, but they impact winning. Reggie's one of them, and those guys factor into what we do and how well we do it. And I think that's really some of the, I've said this before, but some of the MVPs are not maybe, household names, but we wouldn't be where we are year to year without some of those people, player-wise or staff-wise as well. So it goes a long way. All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, just about. Feels good. Feels good. Yeah, ready to go. Yeah.
Just not practicing, just precautionary? Coach said it was so sore.
I mean, it's still sore. Walked through today, so really not practice in general. So, yeah, well, feeling good.
You're planning on playing?
Yes, I will be planning on playing.
What do you see from the Eagles defense?
Well, they got a lot of studs on that side. They're front. They get after the quarterback. They've got two of the best linebackers in the game. Corner that's a shutdown corner. They rotate well. Got a safety from Wyoming that's a stud. So they got a lot of dogs on that side of the ball, and we got to make sure we have a good week of game planning, and ultimately it's going to come down to who executes better on Sunday. Yeah, I love Connor. I feel like I say this about a lot of my teammates, but he's one of my favorite humans on this planet. The stuff that he's battled throughout the last couple of years, he's toughed out a lot of things that nobody even really knows, and got so much respect for him as a football player and as a person, and he's one of the good ones.
It seems like he's made that transition fairly seamless, which maybe isn't as easy as he's made it look. What do you think's allowed him to do that?
Well, I think he's a student of the game. He's extremely smart. He's very talented, obviously, and I think just, again, the way that he plays with the love of his teammates, that makes sense. The love of his teammates, you can see that out there, and you can feel it, and it's infectious the way that he carries himself, and how he's always riding for his teammates.
Josh, how cool is it what Phillip Rivers is doing in Indy, coming back at his age, wearing number 17?
It's really cool. I didn't know what to expect, obviously, when he came back, but it's really awesome. Just the way that he's gone back out there, and he was deciphering that defense extremely well, and making some plays for his team, and it was inspiring to watch.
Twitching, I know we talked about this earlier, but I mean, and coaches talked about this. Twitching a 7th straight playoff berth and a 6th straight season with 11 wins, 5th straight. What does that mean to you or to this team, I guess? Not everybody has a chance to do that, and you guys have sustained that success.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that I put it in terms is, to win the lottery, you got to buy a ticket. To win a Super Bowl, you got to make the playoffs. Getting into the playoffs is our ticket. Now, what we do with that is up to us, and going out there and executing each and every week. And obviously, you want to go into the playoffs playing as well as you can, and obviously there's still a chance for us to win the division, and obviously we need help doing that. But at the end of the day, we want to come out and take it one game at a time, and still have that backs against the wall mentality, and try to play our best football going into it.
What's been different the
ball security. Yeah, not putting ourselves in bad situations.
Josh, James Cook is always finding the holes. From your perspective, what's that like to watch year after year?
It's so fun. You become a fan because there's really nothing you can do once he skirts past you a few yards because, I'm not catching him. And typically the defenses aren't either. So it's fun to kind of hand it off, turn around, put my hands up in the air, and just kind of watch him go to work. And, he's having a fantastic year for us, and, super glad he's on our team.
How valuable has he been to this team?
Extremely valuable. He makes our offense go, and, it's not just in the run game, it's in the pass game too. And I think, you watch him as a teammate, how selfless he is, and one of the first ones to celebrate Ty Johnson when he gets in the end zone. All he cares about is team success, and I think that's a secret to why, again, he's having so much success because he's not really driven by that. He's driven by winning football games and helping this team win. Yeah, I think his personality, being able to let it out and smile and have fun, and like I said earlier, just being the teammate that he is. People feel that, and it's been fun to see him evolve as a player, as a person. And again, I can't stress enough how thankful we are to have him.
With 2 weeks to go, he leads the NFL in rushing. What would it mean, considering everything he went through the offseason, ramping up to the year? What would it mean to get him that title?
Mean a lot. And then maybe no OTAs for anybody, Just get everyone fresh legs, and no, I'm kidding. No, it'd be awesome. Again, we understood what that was before the season, and again, glad he was able to free that part of himself up, and now he's going out there and he's just playing football, and it's fun to watch.
Do you think he's underpaid?
I mean, if you look at it, probably, yeah. But, he's, like I said, all he cares about winning football games right now, and it's pretty awesome.
I know it's a couple missed connections in the first couple of games with Brandon, but the explosiveness obviously there. Does it feel like you guys are continuing to kind of build that here over the last couple of weeks?
Absolutely, and we've been really close over the last couple of games, and we're going to continue to work hard and getting on the same page and righting that ship. And when there are opportunities moving forward, we have supreme faith that we're going to make those.
The league has a funny way of going through cycles of offensive trends, defensive trends. Like a couple of years ago, it was all spread everybody out, especially this offense. Spread everybody out. Now you're doing a lot more under center, 3 tight ends, play action than maybe you've done more so in your career. Can you just kind of share the evolution of, I guess, just the new trends in terms of football schematics, but they're maybe new to this offense and new to things that you haven't always leaned on in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to be a part of, just the cycles of like you said, football evolution, and when guys on defense get really fast and side-to-side speed, the offenses typically get some bigger bodies and start going a little more downhill, and then when defense try to combat that, they get bigger guys inside, and then you want to spread them out. So it's just, again, just figuring out ways to win football games and to be a successful offense, and trusting our offensive staff of finding new ways to new ways, right? They're all old ways, but new ways for us to be a good offense and doing what it takes to win football games. So at this point, it's whatever it takes to win.
Has it dawned on you that we're approaching the final, what could be the final 2 games at the Ralph or Highmark Stadium?
Yeah, it's really cool. I haven't really thought about it, and hopefully, there's still a fighting chance that we get some more games there. So that's what we're not focused on that, but again, we're going to take it one game at a time.
Can you reflect on what it's like to be in that stadium?
Yeah, obviously a lot of love, a lot of energy. You can feel it in there when you play, and excited for obviously the new stadium and hopefully the no wind in there. That'll be really fun. But I'm gonna enjoy these last 2 here, and know that it's pretty fun time for our fans and ourselves to be in the stadium. Thank you, guys.